In the last several years, 20-something Matt Halter has become not just jockey Carol Cedeno's number one fan, president of her fan club, but also really Delaware Park's number one fan. Matt also happens to be autistic and is part of the inspiration for Delaware Park holding an annual Autism Awareness Day. Matt's mom, Megan Halter, going to join me shortly here on Midlantic Racing Today. My name is Frank Vespi, and this is Midlantic Racing Today, powered by the Racing Biz, theracingbiz.com. Today's episode, Delaware Park Today, is presented by our friends at Delaware Park Racetrack and Casino. After we talk with Megan, who will really give us the lowdown on the backstory on how Matt came to be the number one Delaware Park fan, Delaware Park on-air analyst Stan Salter going to be in. We'll catch up on some of the racing action at Delaware Park. This is Midlantic Racing Today. Without further ado, here's Megan Halter. Megan, thanks for joining me. Appreciate it. I reached out to you. We talked about this off air briefly. I reached out to you because I saw your son, Matt Halter, during Autism Awareness Day at Delaware Park, and I remembered back when I had interviewed you guys, he was sort of newly a celebrity, and I interviewed you guys, and he had been sort of very nervous and kind of worked up. And now I'm seeing that guy on camera being interviewed, doing the call to post, and it just seemed like he's come a long way. He's really seems to be growing up.
Thanks for having me, Frank. I love talking about Matt. So anytime you want to talk about Matt, I'm happy to do it. But yes, he has absolutely come a long way. Like I had mentioned, he loves the attention, the fame. Like he loves people following him on Twitter, even if it's through me, because a lot of times he'll post about other things. He'll post like race stats and things about what he did, like in his job and things like that. He doesn't usually post about himself, but I do. I post about him, and he loves that. He has gotten a lot more confident in, people taking pictures or coming up and talking to him, videos of him. He doesn't like to see them. He doesn't rewatch the videos. He doesn't like to see videos of himself, but he does like me sharing, him, because every time I share his joy and his excitement, other people around him get excited. He likes that. He likes to hype up the crowd at Delaware Park. You know, it's funny because, in the beginning of the day, because he does it every Saturday, right? In the beginning of the day, sometimes he'll get his usuals, the people who are always there, expect him and stuff like that. But then he has other people who are like, what's this kid
going
doing
on here? Yeah.
But by the middle of the day, end of the day, people are, cheering right along with him and giving him high fives, asking him for advice. Some people give him tickets. A lot of people come up and thank him for, making a good pick or whatever. And he loves the attention. He really does. And it's, like I said, it's weird because he doesn't like to put out the attention about himself by himself. It's more, everybody else does. So.
I remember, a few years back when Autism Awareness Day started being something they were talking about doing at Delaware. And what does it mean to you guys that it's now become a thing?
I mean, it's a great day. So much happens during the day that is special to us. But at the same time, it's for everyone, right? And I think that's important too. And Betsy, of the Delaware Park Horsemen's Association, she runs the whole thing and she does a great job. She also has autism in her life with her nephew. Mm-hmm. So it's kind of like a family affair, but everybody's welcome as well, and sure. It seems like we keep adding more and more people to the mix, which is awesome. For Matt, it's kind of his day to feel like a king, right? He gets to do, don't get me wrong, like Delaware Park is fabulous to Matt. If he wants to do something, they'll pretty much let him. But on a day-to-day, we're just there watching the races and cheering for people. He gets asked to the winner's circle all the time. And that's cool. And I think but like Autism Awareness Day is the day that he gets to call riders up. He gets to
Hmm.
go to the paddock and do an interview. He gets to go up and do a post parade. They keep asking him to call a race, and he can do it, but he says he's not ready. Each year he says maybe next year, maybe next year.
Because he
Um,
likes to call them from the rail.
yes, yes, to himself.
Yeah.
Like, or maybe people listening to him, but not directly. He doesn't have a mic in front of him, but he is
Right.
getting more comfortable. So maybe someday. But honestly, he's been calling races to himself, just literally to himself since he was like 6 or 7.
Oh
Like,
wow.
I caught him one day. I actually have a short video. I don't know if I can still find it because it's from years ago, like literally 13 years ago. The video isn't even that good because our cameras weren't that good back then. But he was sitting in his room on his bed calling the Hamiltonian. We didn't even watch, like, I mean, we watch a lot of horse racing now, thoroughbred, really. My husband's not a huge fan of standardbred, but Matt has always liked all of it. He
uh,
watches the racing from across the pond. He watches, steeplechase. He watches it all. He loves it all.
hmm hmm
But yeah, he was very excitedly calling the Hamiltonian from his room, and I caught like the second half of it on video, and he's just, so he can do it. I think he's nervous to do it. He's met a lot of great announcers, and
Sure.
he admires them a lot. He admires all of them. They've all been fantastic to him too. They'll go out of their way to talk to him, to have him up to the booth and stuff like that. But at the same time, I think he doesn't think he's as good as them, so he doesn't really want to take that step to actually call a race yet.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
he doesn't focus on it like Nathan Klein, the track announcer at Penn National now.
Yeah.
He's put years of dedication of his life into learning how to call a race, and he's got very polished and whatnot, and he does a great job. And Matt hasn't done that. He just does it for fun. He does it
Sure.
in his room to himself. So I think that's kind of like his hesitation. He knows how hard it is,
hmm
and I think he's afraid he'd mess it up. But at the same time, I think he might get there someday, not as a profession, but
hmm
maybe like once on Autism Awareness Day.
Yeah.
He's thinking about it.
Okay. Well,
Each year he says, maybe next year, maybe next year.
he
But
inches a little closer,
yeah,
huh?
but he does love the post parade call. I mean, I think this year he messed up a little bit because he couldn't stop giggling. He thought he was hysterical. Like he loved his little joke in there. Um, so, it wasn't as smooth as he probably wanted it, but at the same time, he enjoyed himself and had a great time.
Yeah. Yeah. That's cool. Um, I'm guessing, like as a mom of an autistic child, you don't think that later on you're basically going to be like his manager while he deals with all his celebrity here, right?
But it's funny because in my ex profile it says I'm his press secretary, and I kind of am. Like I unofficially I'm his press secretary. My husband's his Uber. Um, I just share the joy he puts out in the world because I want everyone to see it. Like I want everyone to enjoy it too. He has
hmm
so much enthusiasm, and he always has. Like since he was younger, like how you get silly awards at school from your teachers.
Yeah.
His was always Mr. Enthusiasm, right? And he pours that into his entire life, not just horse racing. Like he does work. He has a job. He works 8 to noon every day, Monday through Friday, and his boss, they all love him. It's a distribution center for automotive parts,
Okay.
and he brings the enthusiasm to the workplace for
hmm
everyone, and they
Yeah.
love that about him. And he's a very
Mhm.
hard worker, so they love that too. And he loves his job, absolutely loves his job. He wouldn't miss it
Cool.
for a minute, but he only works till noon because then he's got to watch racing. He's got to catch all his races.
Gotta have
He doesn't.
priorities.
Yeah. Well, I'll be honest, and this is part of the autism thing that comes into play. When he first graduated from high school and was looking into the job market, the um, it's called Doors. I forget exactly. It's the state of Maryland, helps people with disabilities find
Okay.
jobs.
Yeah.
And the first job he got was at Sephora's warehouse in Aberdeen. And he did really well. He worked really hard. That he got some awards. He was always going above and beyond his quota. Um, but Matt doesn't know how to slow down or stop. You know what I mean? Like he doesn't know how, like a normal person would work very hard and then take a break, right? And kind of regroup and keep going. And Matt does not know how to do that. He gives like 400% all the time. And he's burnt out. And he has a very high tolerance for pain. So literally the day he kind of quit, his last day, I had to pick him up because he called, he was in pain. And when Matt's in pain, we usually go to the ER. We don't even go to the doctor because something's wrong. That's how high his tolerance for pain was.
Wow.
And he had a double ear infection and one of his eardrums had burst, literally burst. He had stuff coming out of his ear. So it was kind of like,
I did that once.
yeah, but he
Not fun.
doesn't, no, it's painful. But he doesn't know how to slow down or say, I need a break because I'm not feeling well or whatever. So that's when we made the decision it took a little while for to get him back to work, which is weird because he was, he's the kind of kid who never wants to miss a day ever. He's always there. And we made the decision for him to go part-time. So then he could, it's full time, but it's part-time. It's not a full 8-hour day. It's a 4-hour day. Because, giving 400% at 4 hours is a lot better than 400% at 8 and more. Because Sephora had a lot of big sales and incentives and things like that where they had him working longer hours than 8. And he doesn't know how to do those breaks. They did have breaks. It's not a sweatshop. Don't get me wrong. Just Matt didn't know how to slow down. So this works so much better for him, and he's so happy.
Oh, that's
so
good.
happy.
Yeah, that's good. And as you say, he gets to watch all his races in the afternoon.
That's right. He can't miss them.
I'm guessing the end of FanDuel may pose a problem, huh?
Huge. It's a huge problem for us. He loves all the FanDuel people. He really does. He loves them all. And they've all been so good and so kind to him. Wherever we go, the first place we go is like the FanDuel booth, like not to stalk them, but to stalk them. Sometimes they might be in the middle of something, so we have to wait, but he will wait. He'll stand there and wait till they have breaks so he can say hi and get his picture taken with them. And, a lot of times they've invited him on set and, had him sit and play with the microphones and stuff like that. He really loves them. And they're family to him. Because he would watch them all day, every day. Not even, and longer on the weekends. And, most people have that idea that, okay, these people are on TV, they don't know me, right? We know them, but they don't know us.
Sure.
But Matt doesn't really have that concept, he understands that to a point, but at the same time, he thinks they're all his best friends. And over the years, they've become his friends. Don't get me wrong. Over the years they have, but they haven't always. They didn't know him forever. But I will say, and we're going back 10, 15 years now. They used to take tweets, and shout people out on air. So Matt's been getting shout outs on the air before they even knew who he was, so it's kind of like they have been his best friends. And now that they've taken that away, I don't think he realized at first. I mean, he did, but he didn't, and it's hard. It's very hard for him. Now, a lot of the FanDuel people are going to other places, so hopefully we'll see them or our paths will cross.
Right.
But it's not going to be the same for Matt. He really enjoyed those people. We are going to the Breeders' Cup though, so we know that most, a lot of them will be on site, and it'll probably be the last time he gets to see most of them in person. And like I said, I'm not sure he fully comprehends that. I think he does. I'm not sure. But we're very much looking forward to it.
Yeah.
I remember the day we found out, though. We found out right before Keeneland, I guess. We went down for Bluegrass. and I saw Kaiten Bradar when we first walked in. I said to her, I was like, Kaiten, what are they doing? What are they doing to Matt? Like, he's going to be devastated. And she's like, I know. Matt's the first person I thought of. He really truly feels like they're his family, and FanDuel's now taken that away. So it's bad, but I think we'll still have contact with a bunch of them on Twitter. Hopefully, see them at tracks if they're at different places. I don't know. I mean, it's going to be rough.
Frank Vespi interviewing Megan Halter on Midlantic Racing Today.
Twin Spires account or whatever account fired up, and
yeah, we do. We have all the accounts. I mean, I'm not gonna lie. We have all the accounts for Matt. It's so funny. The one time, like years ago, what's the expensive one? Is it DRF? Like where you get access to all the
past
information. Yeah.
DRF's expensive.
Yeah, we signed him up for that. He wanted it, so we did. I don't think he's still signed up for it, but he makes some money. He can spend it the way he wants, so
Sure.
But yeah, I mean, if there's an app out there that will help him, or he loves information, he loves data, and that's part of horse racing for him. The stats,
absolutely.
He can rattle them all off. He knows it all.
Right.
But he's like a sponge for information, and he loves that. So if there's an app or a service where he can get more information, more stats, more everything, he's on it. He loves it.
It's interesting, when you're talking about the FanDuel people, is it the autism? Like he doesn't, most of us sort of perceive like barriers between ourselves and jockeys, people on TV, whatever. He doesn't seem to perceive those. And what's cool about it is that the people he's not seem to almost all be welcoming him in. I'm thinking in part of Carol Cedeno.
Yeah, it's funny specifically with Carol, right? Carol, when we first started going to Delaware Park and Matt started becoming very a huge fan of hers, she was very shy, very shy. We even had to ask we became friends with the track photographer, Mary. And we actually had to ask Mary, Mary, can you ask Carol if we can get a picture with her or whatever? And Mary actually said, Carol's very shy. Let me ask her. And of course she said yes and whatever. But Matt doesn't let her be shy, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
You're exactly, you pinpointed it, Frank, in that he doesn't perceive the same way as other people. If someone isn't responsive to him right away and he wants them to be, he'll probably keep at it. He doesn't perceive this, not this, I don't want to say slights, because I won't say no one's ever slighted him. It has happened. But at the same time, he's pretty persistent and he's pretty happy and he's go-lucky and he's easy to like. He's an easy to appreciate kind of person. So he'll keep at it. Like, we definitely broke her shell, she's not shy with him anymore. In fact, sometimes now she has to go out of her way for him because he gets shy. Now, we've known Carol for a long time, we're like part of her family, I swear. And she's part of ours. I feel like that. But at the same time, Matt still gets a little nervous around her because, especially, oh my God, if she does not have her jockey gear on, if she's like a normal person with, her hair down and stuff like that, he doesn't know how to deal with that because that's not the way he sees her. He sees her in jockey gear. So it's kind of weird, but she understands it too. She has a nephew with autism. So and not every person with autism is the same, but she understands that there's, differences, like Matt's sometimes going to act differently, especially if he's nervous, Like I said, when she doesn't have her jockey gear on, he gets nervous because it's not the person he's used to seeing. You know what I mean?
Right. She's out of context, kind of.
She's a girl then, not a jockey. She's a girl, a pretty girl,
Right.
So it's kind of like, it's funny. But yeah, she, I would say Matt never let her be shy. He just would keep at it, keep at it, keep at it. God bless her. I mean, the way they became such good friends is because Matt, Carol got injured at Penn National one night,
This
which
is
is
going
weird.
back like 5 years, right?
Oh yeah, more. I think longer, maybe
More than
6
that.
or 7 now. I don't know. I can't remember, but um, she got injured in the gate. Like her horse did something, and I think she hurt her ankle, but we didn't know at the time. And the announcers don't say really what's going on; they just get them off the track and move on. So I had messaged Bessie. I was like, Bessie, Matt's freaking out. He needs to know if Carol's okay. There was a back and forth. Yes, she's okay. But by the way, she said Matt can text her anytime to make sure that, so he's calm. And that started he texts her twice a day, every day, 6 a.m., 6 p.m. And that's just the way it is. He tells her everything. He really thinks that Carol's his best friend. And she is, like she listens. She doesn't always respond. Sometimes she's in the car. And she's told him this, so he understands that her car will play his messages, but she can't always respond, because she'll just driving to wherever or whatever. But they have a really good relationship like that. Like it's kind of cute. He tells her everything. If he saw a train, she tells him he tells her about it. I don't think she could possibly understand most of what he tells her, because unless you understand a lot about trains, you're probably not getting it.
You're
But
not there.
actually really honest too, like to a fault sometimes, because sometimes he'll be like, yeah, you just didn't have it today. Like he's straight up,
Yeah.
or your horse didn't have it today or whatever. He's
Yeah.
straight up honest,
Yeah.
but he's always cheering for her and says, oh, you'll get him next time and things like that. So he's not mean. He's just honest.
Yeah. Right. Well, so she had a bad injury last fall.
Yeah.
And obviously she's back now. And in fact, we had her on this podcast and she said she's 100%.
Yeah. She's doing
But
great.
how stressful was that for Matt and for you guys?
Well, it's funny because Matt goes to bed very early, very early. Now,
He's
when I
got to
say he
get up
doesn't,
at 6 to text
well,
Carol.
he doesn't get up. He doesn't get up at 6. He gets up at like 3:30, 4 o'clock,
Oh, wow.
because he has stuff to do. Like he's got stuff to do before he goes to work, including going through all the race cards for the entire day. He makes his own breakfast. He gets dressed. He texts Carol. He's got a routine, and he's a morning bird. I am not, but he is. And so he goes to bed at like dinner time.
Okay.
Now he used to try to stay up for Carol's races if she was racing at night, and her spill was at night. It was at Monmouth at the Meadowlands. It was an evening race. Since he's been working full time, he doesn't necessarily always stay up to watch them, right? So he didn't see it like live. I did,
That's probably just as well, huh?
right? But at the same time, I knew he was going to get up at 3 o'clock in the morning and rewatch. Like he watches all her races, whether he sees them live or not. So we had to wake him up and tell him. We had to. I mean, we waited a little while, So when I saw it happen, I knew, nothing's you're not gonna get any information like right off the bat. But I've actually developed a bit of a network of people that really care about Matt. And like, for example, I texted Matt Jennerman, because he was the announcer. I was like, do you know anything? Is she okay? Did you see her move? You know what I mean? Like, because you don't know. And I needed information. So, and then, I texted her sister. I was like, her sister does my nails. So I'm like, yeah, have you heard from Carol?
Yeah.
So it was kind of like we knew pretty soon that yes, she was injured, but she would be okay. And that's the big thing for Matt. So we actually, after we found that out, we woke him up and told him, listen, Carol fell. Her horse fell. She is in the hospital, but she's going to be okay. And that makes it a lot better.
Sure. Yeah.
It's almost better that he didn't see it live, because if he saw it live, he'd freak out a little bit, and I'd have to calm him down. Yeah. So that's the hard part for us, honestly. He doesn't handle that. He's seen a lot of spills over the years. Don't get me wrong. I mean, we all have.
Sure.
I mean, not a ton. I mean, there's not, people aren't falling all the time. So it's still a bit of a shock. Yes, he gets upset when anybody, but if it's someone he knows and cares about, it's 100 times worse.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
And it depends on the excitement level going on around him and things like that, because he does still have meltdowns. I mean, or get sensory overload, and that's the autism part. Like, and it doesn't have to be bad. Sometimes it can be good. There was a race the other day. It was a stakes race. I forget which one. About 2-3 weeks ago at Delaware Park, and it was a Gary Capuano trained, and Tori Capuano was there, and she adores Matt. Matt adores her, and they won. And Matt got so excited he couldn't come back down. And that's what happens with him sometimes. That's what I'm always like right in his face when he gets really excited, because he needs to calm down, and he can't. Not like a normal person. It takes him a while. And when I tell you, he got so excited. Now, the reason he got so excited is, yes, it's a big race. And yes, it was a really good race. I think the finish was exciting and stuff like that. So there's all these, factors that go into it. But then it was Tori's horse, and he had just met the owners. And, and when I tell you, he ran over to the owner, who we don't know, personally. We had just met a little bit. And she's a petite little woman. He picked her up, spun her around, hugged her, screaming. And Matt's strong. He's very strong. I almost had a heart attack. I literally, that's my worst nightmare. I couldn't stop him. He could have hurt her. And I was like, Matt, you got to stop. Like, stop, look at me, breathe. That's the part of autism I don't like, and we've dealt with over the years. And thank God she was very understanding. She was excited too. Her horse just won, but it could have gone really bad, and that's the kind of thing that really is scary to us sometimes, because he doesn't, as much progress as he's made with regulating his emotions over the years, it still comes out every once in a while, and he can't control it. He loses control completely. It takes him a lot to calm down, so especially in public, it's very hard. At home, it's different, it very rarely happens at home anymore. But in public, it's hard, because then you get the people who start to look, you get the people who make comments, you get the people who don't understand. Like, thank God, thank God this owner completely understood. She had already met him. She swears Matt didn't hurt her, which I'm shocked, because I know how strong Matt is. And he literally picked her up and spun her around. So at the end of the day, it was okay. But that's the kind of thing like that is terrifying to me, So I try to keep Matt. I let him have his enthusiasm, but I can sense when he's going over and above, and I try to pull him back. Try to pull him back all the time.
Were you guys, you and your husband, were you guys into racing before, or does this all sort of come from, caging the pony and?
We miss him every day. We miss him every day. We've both always loved horse racing.
Okay.
Not to the extent that we do now. Okay. We were more casual, I grew up going to standardbred races at Brandywine Raceway with my dad when I was little. I would pick the horses by the color or their name or whatever, So, obviously that's not thoroughbred racing, but we would always watch all the Triple Crown races and occasionally go to the racetrack to watch races. It was a casual kind of thing. My husband grew up more around horses than I did. He used to be a groom like in high school and I think like beginning of college for like hackney ponies. So he's been around horses and farms and stuff like that. I didn't really have that in my background. I was actually terrified of horses when I was younger. my brother actually took horseback riding lessons when he was little, and you could see me sitting on like piles of hay, being terrified of the dog and the horse, and just like I have that picture. So I didn't really grow up around horses. I would say our love of racing and his love of racing and everything else all started when he started taking therapeutic horseback riding lessons. And that started, he went to Camp Care, which is a camp for people with special needs. And of course, he had an aide with him at all times. Like I'm that mom. There's no way he was going by himself. So I actually sent somebody with him. Not that they don't have great support for everybody with special needs, but I specifically sent someone with him. Anyway, they had pony rides, one day. They did different activities, and he loved it. So we looked into it, and he did it for a long time. He did therapeutic horseback riding, which is more than just getting on a horse for a pony ride. It's, learning to take care of a horse and learning to saddle a horse, groom a horse, teaches you safety rules around the barn, everything. There's all this that goes into it that might come very natural to some people, to an average person, maybe, where it was different for Matt. He actually learned how to be calm around a horse. Like that, like I said, that comes very naturally to my computer screen keeps shutting down. So that's why my light keeps changing. I'm sorry.
No, it's fine.
I know it's like bizarre. I'm like, anyway. So he learned a lot from that, and it was very good for him. He learned to talk to horses. Like, he didn't talk as much before he started horseback riding. He actually learned to talk to horses, and I don't know if they answer him or not, but he's always listening. Like, I don't know if you follow him on Twitter or your Facebook or whatever. I post a lot of pictures, right? You'll see him a lot listening, like with his head down and into like the ear, his ear to like the mouth of a horse. Not always the safest thing, especially with, like thoroughbreds on the racetrack. They could bite his ear off for all I know. Not a horse never has.
Yeah.
And he's listening for something. Do I think they're actually talking to him? Maybe not. But in their own way, they've got something going on, because the meanest horses out there treat Matt completely differently. Yeah. The horses absolutely sense who he is, and he has a bond. He really has a bond with a lot of them. But during the therapeutic horseback riding, he started riding a pony. Well, I call him horse, but he was an outrider pony named Cajun. He is a quarter horse. He used to be an outrider. Before that, he was a barrel racer down like in Louisiana or something. He had quite a history. He was a great horse. He rode him for years, and he looks like a quarter horse version of Animal Kingdom. He just does, like, same coloring, similar blaze, obviously different body style, obviously not a thoroughbred. But in Matt's mind, because he came from a racetrack and he looked like Animal Kingdom, who was at the time, winning everything and local to us, he called Cajun AK's cousin, and he would tell Cajun all about the racing he watched that day and what Animal Kingdom was doing. And Matt started asking to go to the track more. And in his mind, that was his racehorse, that he was riding. And that was his kind of connection. Yeah. A lot of the pictures from him, like from lessons back in the day, you'll see he's got like stuff from Saratoga on, because that's where Cajun used to be an outrider, like Saratoga and Belmont and Aqueduct. Okay. So, like, he's making all these connections in his mind. And then he wanted to go see Animal Kingdom, so we made arrangements to go tour Fair Hill and meet Animal Kingdom. And after that, it was over. It was like, we were going to Delaware Park every Saturday. I guess at first he had trouble convincing us to take him every Saturday, but we were going more often, and then more often, and then more often. And then it was like, Michael and I were taking off days during the week if it was a big race day, and that too, so it was kind of, And now, like I said, we pretty much go every Saturday if we can. Like I said, we are moving to just a few miles down the road, but we've got a lot going on right now. So we did miss last Saturday, but it's pretty rare. And I'll be honest with you, if we miss a Saturday, I have to text people to tell them. Because if not, my phone will
People
blow
take
up.
note. Yeah.
Yes. Where's Matt? Like the first text I send is Mary, the photographer at Delaware Park, because she knows, she's one of the first people we'll see each week, because she's coming out, before the race, and she's right there by Matt's bench at the rail. So, first person we usually say hi to is Mary. And she's always there, right? So, if people don't see Matt, a lot of times they'll ask her, like, Mary, where's Matt?
Yeah.
And I hate to put Mary in that position, but she's kind of become like our, secondary press secretary. So, if we're not at Delaware Park, I usually tell people, a few people at least, nothing's wrong. We're just not going to be there today, or maybe something is wrong, but we're not going to be there today. So, because if not, like I said, my phone will blow up. Like, where are you? Everything okay?
Frank
Yeah, well, it's
Vespi
funny because
interviewing
I was
Megan
there on
Halter on
Saturday. They had this
Midlantic
couple of
Racing
2-year-old
Today.
stakes, and I went up for it. And two things that I don't know that I've ever seen before happened. One was it was a Saturday, and you and Matt weren't, neither you, Michael, or Matt was at
Right.
the track. So that's very unusual.
Uh-huh.
And then there was this kind of rainstorm that blew in, and they delayed races for a little
Yeah.
while. Although this is an aside, but this struck me as absolutely hilarious. So the first stake took place in this like driving sideways rain.
We were watching.
Did you watch
Yep,
it?
we saw it. Uh-huh.
And Mary took a fantastic picture of the stretch run, which you can track down on the racingbiz.com if you're so inclined. Um, but
I'll definitely check it out.
It's a great picture, really a good picture. But there was an objection after the race, so stewards were chewing over whether to put the second place finisher up. They made the jockeys and the horses walk around in circles
I
outside the
saw
winner's circle for
that.
like 10 minutes while they were trying to make up their mind. It's like, hey
I
guys,
saw
it's
that. I
driving
felt
sport.
that
Let them go home.
the one groom that was walking the horse, the winner,
Right.
not the ultimate winner, because I think they took him down. But I was thinking the same thing, because we were watching, and I was thinking the same thing. I'm like, that poor woman. It was like she's walking the horse around in a circle, and the rain's coming down, and yeah, like I said, Matt was really. It took a little convincing to keep Matt home.
Yeah.
But like I said, we're in the middle of packing up our house. It was just a nightmare, and I knew it was going to be. I knew there was a chance of thunderstorms. Carol was only in one race, so it was like
It was relatively easy.
it was relatively easy to keep him home. But in fact, it's funny because when I was home, I knew Tori Capuano. She had a horse in that race, the one that with the rainstorm. And I texted her right before that. I was like, "Storm's coming your way," because we're in Maryland, and
and
we're
it was blowing
watching.
over you. Yeah.
We have to watch out for Matt's friends, right? So Matt actually said to me, he's like, "Mom, Tori's going to get caught in the storm." I was like, "I know, Matt. She's in the paddock. It's okay. She's smart. She'll be okay." But he was like, "Well, you got to text her." I was like, "Okay." So I did. I texted her. I said, "Tori, I said the storm's coming your way," because it's in Maryland now, and yeah, and we could see her in the paddock. But so it's kind of funny.
Yeah.
We're always watching. We see a lot.
Yeah, yeah. So the other thing that I don't think I'd seen before is because Mary was stuck outside in this pelting down rain. The next race, she didn't have a hat on. Mary
Mary
always has a hat
does
on.
always have a hat on.
Yeah,
She's
I
got
don't think
a
I've seen her
variety of
without a
hats
hat.
in her office. She's got a ton of hats. Like
Yeah,
she
yeah,
has extras. Like she's always
yeah.
offering me an extra. But my head's weird. It doesn't hold hats on very good. A baseball cap's easier for me,
Okay.
but I feel like every time I try to wear, and I have a few back there, you can see them on the wall.
Yep.
Every time I try to wear like a floppy, it doesn't seem to stay on. I don't know. But yeah,
Well,
she's got a variety of hats. She must have got her head wet or something.
yeah, no, she did, and so but I just I don't think I've ever seen her without
Like it's
without a
bizarro
floppy hat
world. There's
on.
no
Yeah,
halters. Mary has
right.
no
No
hat. Yeah.
halters, no hat. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So this sort of celebrity phase started I think really 5 or 6 years ago when you were tweeting about, Matt did this, and I wrote an article about it at the time, but at that time I went back and looked, and your tweets were sort of getting the response that, a person with a handful of followers gets. You get a like or two or three or four. And then all of a sudden they just blew up, and everything you were tweeting with Matt, and it was just going crazy. It was really, what was that like for you guys?
I think he's very magnetic. People love his enthusiasm, as well they should. And that's kind of why I started sharing it. But I didn't really know about Twitter at all. I had a Twitter account since I don't know when, but I never used it. And a friend of ours at Delaware Park, who doesn't come out as often as he used to, but he used to come all the time. His name was Tom. He told me, when we first met him, he's like, well, all the racing people are on Twitter. Because I would post on Facebook. I'm a Facebook generation, I guess, kind of person. And I would post it occasionally, whatever. But he's like, yeah, there's, whole horse racing group people on Twitter. And I was like, okay. I'm like, well, I took a picture of him and Matt. I don't know if he asked me to or if I just did. I don't know. And I said, I'll tag you, I guess. He showed me how to do it. I was like, I know I have a Twitter account. I'm like, let me see if I can get in.
Yeah.
And that kind of started it. I was like, okay, I'll post on Twitter. And you can get, don't get me wrong, a lot of the stuff on horse racing Twitter is crap. But and some people are crap, but at the same time, there's a lot of good information too. And I'm always, if you look at my Twitter byline or whatever, I always say no drama, keep the drama. I don't want the drama. I'm not there for the drama. I'm there to share Matt, maybe learn something about horse racing, keep up with, of course, everybody likes information, right?
Sure.
But I'm not there for the drama. I'm not there for the scandals and stuff like that. I want no parts of that. But the more I shared Matt, the more attention he got. And I'm not doing it for me. I could care less. I'm not in it for Twitter fame. I've got better things to do. But he likes the attention. He just doesn't know how to share himself. That's why I say I'm truly his press secretary. I'm going to let you know what he and I are doing today. That's part of it too. A lot of people would be like, oh, are you going to Delaware Park today? And I don't have their cell phone numbers to text them or whatever. So, I would start putting on Twitter, yeah, we're going to Delaware Park today. Here we are. We're on our way.
All right.
Or, eventually people would ask us, are you going to maybe Colonial or whatever, or parks or wherever we're going. So a lot of times I would put out on Twitter where we were going to be. And, that's, when Matt started developing, but all kinds of people connect with Matt at a level, some he inspires, they've reached out to me and said, Matt's inspired me to have enthusiasm, to enjoy horse racing again. I'm struggling and this is helping me. Some people just reach out and say, we love his attitude, his enthusiasm, keep it coming. We love Matt. Some people, has said over the years, so many people have sent him stuff. He collects dirt. He collects dirt from all the tracks. And every time I post a picture of his dirt collection, someone will send some dirt.
More dirt.
Which I kind of stopped doing that because I feel bad. Postage is expensive. I mean, especially for dirt, I appreciate it. Don't get me wrong. And if money's not an issue for you and you want to send dirt, great. We love that. But at the same time, I've realized that postage is not cheap, and here you are spending like $20 to send him dirt. He loves it. He's got these little bottles. They're all labeled with what kind of dirt, where the dirt's from. And that kind of started with our mini Delaware Park, because we would put a little bit in a jar and then would use the rest for the track. It made Matt feel like it was more official.
A real racetrack, yeah.
Yeah. So, but now, it depends on how much dirt people send. If they send enough for the jar, which the jar's small, it's only about this big, great. We label it and put it on the shelf. If they send like a huge bag, which most people do, it's crazy. We'll use part of it for the jar, and then the rest goes on the track. we don't get to recoup that though. So each year we need new dirt. So we do use a lot of play sand, like we're not using, but he does like that. I think, people have gone over and above for Matt. They send him t-shirts, they send him hats, they send him stuffies, they send him cups, you name it. His entire wardrobe is horse racing related. And most of it was free, people sending him stuff to make him smile. A lot of my tweets on Twitter are thanking people for the gifts they've sent him. And most of them are completely random. We've never met before. They've just Matt has made them smile and they want to share. So he, like I said, his entire wardrobe is made up of track shirts, stable shirts, different racing stables, things like that. And he also has a couple of my racehorses, so he's into that too. So he's got a share of Straight No Chaser. So that was a huge one. He's still collecting on that one. He loves it. His most recent is Elevated.
Frank Vespi interviewing
She
Megan
hasn't won
Halter
yet,
on
but she's only
Midlantic
run
Racing
once.
Today.
So we'll see. Maybe twice. I don't know. I think the Straight No Chaser was a novel, not a novelty, once in a lifetime. I doubt we'll get another my racehorse that's like that, because we don't invest in all the horses, and not all the horses do as well. But yeah, that was really exciting for him. And they were fantastic too. Like they used to FaceTime Matt because Matt picked a horse. Straight No Chaser was out on the West Coast. Matt won't fly. He refuses to fly. So there was no way we were ever going to go see Straight No Chaser, right? But their people would literally FaceTime with him in the paddock so he could talk to the jockey.
That's so cool.
And Dan Blacker, they were fantastic. He loved it. He really felt a part of that, and he appreciated it. Yeah. But that was the first horse he picked, and we were just like, Matt, why don't you pick a East Coast horse? Maybe you'll have a chance to see him. Nope, he was picking that one. So, and he ended up being a great horse. He won a lot of money, and
good choice.
But he was on the West Coast. We're like, Matt, why are you picking a West Coast horse? We're never going to get there, and we didn't. But
right. Well, he's Delaware Park's first fan. You can find the Halters just about every Saturday at the bench next to the winner's circle. Any other? What other racing venues are in the future for the Halter family?
Well, like I said, we are moving, so it's kind of putting a strain on our time. But we are going to the Breeders' Cup at Keeneland in the fall. A lot of our usual haunts have already passed. So we went to the Virginia Derby at Colonial. We went to the Bluegrass Stakes at Keeneland. The summer's almost over, so it's kind of like, if we probably won't get too much in this year, more, other places. Occasionally, like we'll venture up to parks, or my husband really doesn't want to go to New York. I don't know why. Matt does. So we're going to probably try to get up to Belmont. Maybe it would be just me and Matt. I don't know.
The new Belmont.
We go to Laurel a lot. But Laurel is like a random, sometimes we'll just wake up in the morning and be like, hey, Matt, you want to go to Laurel? So, and it's usually a Sunday because we're usually at Delaware Park on Saturday. So, but if it was up to Matt, we would be at Laurel every dark day that Delaware has. Does that make sense? Like, so,
sure, yeah.
But I can't do that drive. Like Delaware Park's an easy drive. It's 15 minutes, whatever.
Right.
Laurel's a little bit more, we got to go through the tunnel. It's at about an hour. It's exhausting, especially if I've been at Delaware Park the all day, the day before.
Right.
He's got an unlimited energy. I do not. I'm getting older. I just don't have the energy. Sometimes my husband and I even take turns. Like we're like, okay, who's taking Matt today? We both love it. We both love horse racing.
Right.
It's the weather, sometimes August at Delaware Park can get a little hot,
Yeah.
So, and Matt doesn't want to be inside. He doesn't want to come down in between races. He's there. We are at our seat in the heat all day. So it can be a little rough, but you never know when we'll show up. Like sometimes we'll just take a random trip to wherever, I don't expect us to show up somewhere you have to fly, because Matt so far has said he's not doing it again. He did fly before and he was fine, but he's all of a sudden decided he's afraid of flying. So if we can drive there, we'll probably go to Churchill the day after the Saturday Breeders' Cup. So we'll see. We'll see. I'm not sure we're gonna fit it in. I've got to be back in DC that Monday at like 7 a.m. So we're a bunch of the attorneys in my firm are getting admitted to the Supreme Court that day. So you have to be there at like 7 a.m.
Yeah.
Of course, we didn't really coordinate that very well with, you don't get to pick that, right? They give you the date and time and say, show up and be here. It just so happens it was like the Monday after Breeders' Cup. So I'm like, we're not even going home. Like, we're going to DC and spending the night, because you have to be there Godzilla, insanely early for like security checks and stuff like that. It's crazy. And I'm not a morning person, so it'll be interesting. But anyway, but that's the way we roll. Like the halters are always like kind of on the move. We got something going on. We don't do one thing. Like, we do like 18 things, and we just kind of figure it out. And then Matt's brother Mason is going to college, so we're moving him in the 24th.
Where's he going?
He's going to American University in DC. He loves DC. So
cool.
that's a transition for us too. So we're packing him up for college and the move, and we're moving the whole house. Like I said, we can't do simple things. No, the halters have to put it all together.
Let's do it all at once.
We have to have the craziness, or it doesn't work. That's the way we roll.
Okay. All right. Well, Megan Halter, I'll let you go. Thank you so much for sharing.
Thank you for having us. I always love talking about Matt. So, yeah, I mean, I could talk about Matt all day. Anytime you want to talk about Matt, just let me know.
We'll take you up on that. Thank you.
Thank you. Take care. Bye-bye.
Next up, Delaware Park racing analyst Stan Salter joins us on Midlantic Racing Today.
Hey, Stan, good to see you. Thanks for joining me today, as always. A little bit of big news this week. We're longtime leading rider Jamie Rodriguez coming back. Should be interesting to see him back at Delaware Park.
Yeah, he's pretty good, but he better be tied on, because we have a pretty tough jockey colony here. We got Paco Lopez and Julio Hard Riding, Hernandez, a bunch of other good riders. The Cipriano Gill's doing pretty good. So we have a much better jockey colony than they do up in New York. So Jamie better be tied on when he comes back here to Delaware.
You gave a good try there. I like it.
I mean, we do have a good jockey colony, but he's dominated here before. He's been leading rider for several years. He'll do well coming back here. It's good to see him coming back here. He's a hard worker. He'll start getting live mounts right away, because he works hard in the morning, and he's a family guy. So I'm happy that he'll be back home here with his wife and kids. And he did well up in New York, one of the toughest circuits in the country. He was holding his own up there. He was doing well, winning races and hitting the board, picking up checks with big long shots. I know owners and trainers appreciate that. So he should be proud of how he did up in New York. I think he did well. I think the only reason he's coming back is to be closer to his family down here. So that's good. I'm glad he'll be with his kids and his wife and everything. It might take him a week or two to start getting on all the horses that he wants to get on. All the favorites might already be locked up with other riders, but he has a good agent, and everybody knows him here. Jamie Ness was one of the main barns he rode for. So if he starts riding a bunch of Ness horses, he'll start winning races real soon. So I don't know if he'll catch up to Paco, but it's good to have another top jockey down here to round out a real nice jockey colony.
Yeah, no, the colony is a good one. As you said, Hernandez, obviously Paco's Paco when he rides here. Cipriano Gill's been a nice addition. And then you got, Emmanuel Rosario gets his first stakes win the other day and has been riding well. Radosevich is another bug boy starting to ride. So it should be fun to see. But yeah, I talked with J-Rod. He's excited. He's really looking forward to getting to spend more time with his kids. So I think that'll be good for everybody. All right, let's talk about Saturday. 8-race program on the docket. Couple of really nice races on the card, including the 4th race, which is scheduled for the turf. We'll see about that, but that's a maiden event. And then the 7th, which is a small field, but it's a nice field in a 2 other than allowance going 3/4, Stan.
Yeah, we got some nice races now. We're taping this on Thursday. We're supposed to get floods and everything today. Supposed to get a lot of rain today. So hopefully we'll get the turf races in before it rains here on Thursday. But as far as Friday and Saturday, I'd say a long shot for the turf. If we get the expected rainfall we're supposed to get, I say probably no turf Friday or Saturday. That's not official. The official call comes from the racing office. We'll see. Anything's possible, but I'm kind of handicapping both ways for it. Turf and for it to come off the turf. And race 4 on Saturday is going to be one of our features. Whether it's turf or dirt, it's carded 5 furlongs on the turf, but it's a maiden special weight for 2-year-old fillies. There's a bunch of first-time starters in there, so even if the race comes off the turf, I expect the race to stay intact pretty well. Like I said, a lot of first-time starters in here. They'll want to run in a maiden special weight going 5 furlongs. Michael Stidham has a couple first-time starters in there. He has a homebred for Godolphin by Munnings. He also has a first-time starter on the rail, Infinite Aura, 2-year-old filly. They paid $70,000 for at the looks like the Timonium 2-year-old sale this past May. This filly's by 8 rings. I've never heard of this sire. Eight
Thank
rings.
you.
Stands. He's by Empire Maker. He stands for 6,000 in California. Looks like this is his first crop. Yeah, it looks like he's
Yeah,
0 for
it is.
he's 0 for 2 with his 2-year-old first time starters. He does have a winner. Let's see. He was trained by Bob Bafford. He won the Grade 1 American Pharaoh at Santa Anita, and looks like that was his big claim to fame. Yep, he's by Empire Maker, and he won a Grade 1. So they made him a sire, and this is his first crop. So we'll see how 8 rings does. He stands for 6,000 in California. This filly is out of a mare called Sweet and Cheeky by Candy Ride. This is a Maryland bred in Maryland by Valencia Leash and Dan Leash. Let's check out the mare here, Sweet and Cheeky. I'm on my DRF formulator that I do most.
The dam won twice. She was a 2-time winner on the turf. Top buyer speed figure 78.
She got that at Delmar going a mile on the turf. That was an allowance, never win 2 lifetimes. That was a pretty good race on the turf. So it looks like her better races were on the turf. The second dam, wow, the second dam made over 400,000. The second dam was a graded stakes place. Was it a graded multiple graded stakes place on the turf, synthetic and on the main track? So the second dam was pretty nice. So there's some money makers on the dam side here. This is the first foal. Infinite R is the first foal. So all right, so a freshman sire for the dam's first foal for the one Infinite R for Stidham. That filly's been working here. I don't like the post position from the 1 hole, but Carol Cedeno takes the call there on that filly. Michael Matz, who's having a real strong meet. Matt's hitting at 32%. He's had some first-time winners win here at the meet. He has a nice filly by Speightstown. This is a homebred for Running More Racing. The Bentley's a PA bred. Speightstown, of course, that's a top sire, $80,000 stud fee in Kentucky. Speightstown is 14% with his 2-year-old first-time starters.
This one is the dam was a half to Always Mining, who might remember won a bunch of stakes in Maryland and was about 7 or 8 to 1 in the Preakness, and looked like had a big shot at the quarter pole and then ran out of horse, but he was a nice local horse at any rate.
I remember the name, Always Mining. Yeah, who trained that horse? Was that the
that was Kelly Rubley.
Kelly Rubley, that's right.
Originally, it was I think it was a Mackingvale horse, and then the Bentleys, who were anyway, the Bentleys, I think, either claimed him or bought him privately, and then Kelly Rubley had the horse, and he ran off he won the Tessio and the private terms. He ran off a bunch of local stakes wins, and then obviously the Preakness a little too tough for him, but
Yeah,
he was a pretty good horse. So
I remember him now, Kelly Rubley. I was covering the Preakness back then. All right, so this mare here only won for 7, and she won on the turf. And this is her first foal. This Matt's first time starter. Toujours, Vincent Cheminade rides. Let's check out the Godolphin homebred here for Michael Stidham. This one's by Munnings. Munnings, $45,000 stud fee in Kentucky. Munnings is 14% with his 2-year-old first time starters. The dam here, where are we? Godolphin. All right, the dam's by Frosted. She was she was 0 for 11. She was second 8 times. She made made over 114,000 as a maiden. Oh,
yeah, grade
she
2
won.
placed. She was grade 2 placed.
Grade two place as a maiden. She won 2 races and was disqualified both times.
What are the odds?
She won 2 maiden special weights on the turf and was DQ'd both times. Wow. But yeah, I see that early on. But yeah, Baffert had her. Stidham trained her too. But Baffert had her when she was second in the grade 2 Santa Ynez or whatever out at Santa Anita. All right, so the dam was pretty good, and Stidham trained the dam. Baffert trained the dam. The second dam. The second dam was won 11 races, made over 2.3 million. Second dam was a multiple grade 1 winner, multiple graded stakes winner. So this is a real nice family here on the female side. Now this is the first foal here. A Winterscape is the first foal. So at a Frosteria. So this filly will probably get bet a little bit here. I hope Stidham. I hope Stidham keeps her in even if they come off the turf, because she can run on the main track. And now Stidham uses this 7-pound apprentice Joshua Radosevich on Winterscape. Race 4 Saturday. Radosevich doing well. He's caught my eye the past couple weeks. He's had some nice winners. He's hitting at around 28%. So he's a live bug rider here. We got Radosevich and Emmanuel Rosario, 2 good riding bug riders that are winning a bunch of races. Who do you like in this race for, Frank?
Well, it's a fun race. Some interesting pedigrees, as you've been saying, Stan. I mean, I think one horse that you didn't talk about that I think is a little interesting is I think anything Cal Lynch sends out in a baby race, you got to take a look at, and he's got on the AEs Our Alchemist by Gervin. Gervin, who now is deceased, but he was a terrific debut sire, terrific win early influence. This one's out of a sensational mare. That's one I think you got to take a look at. Cheminot's got double call here. He's got on the Matt's horse and on this horse. So I think that's one worth a look. And I think, Brittany Russell has this unusual for America pedigreed horse, Occupy, who ran okay on debut at Colonial Downs. This one's by St. Mark's Basilica, a French-bred sire who stands for $55,000 out of an Irish-bred mare. I think that that's one that might just come out if they come off the turf, but I think interesting pedigree there.
Yeah, some obscure pedigree there. But back to the Cal Lynch first time starter. She draws in off the AE our alchemist. Yeah, you're right. Gervin hits at 19% with his 2-year-old first time starters. Just looking at the dam real quick. By the dam was unraced. She did not run, but she's been a producer. She's had some horses. She threw one horse that made almost a couple 100,000 winning allowance races, and that's about it.
Right.
So she's throwing at least one runner. Yeah. The Brittany Russell. Yeah, Rapoli owns that horse. I gotta look that sire up. St. Mark's Basilica, a French sire. Stands for 55,200 in Ireland, He hasn't had a winner yet. He ran. Aiden O'Brien trained him. He was a multiple Group 1 winner. He was 6 for 9, made almost $3 million going long on the turf. He won all the big grade ones over there.
Yeah, wow, he really was good, wasn't he? I never heard of him, but he was really fast.
So they have this. So this is a Kentucky bred. So they have the mare. Let's look up the mare. The mare here. They must have taken the mare and bred it. Had the cover over in Ireland where the stallion is, and then brought the mare to Kentucky. The mare Baltic Duchess, Andre Farber trained her. She was 1 for 14, made 84,000. She was all turf, and looks like this is her Occupy. No, she's had two others that one was 0 for 5. Right. One was 0 for 5. Another one was 1 for 19 on the turf. So yeah, that's some obscure breeding there. But yeah, you're probably right. If it comes off the turf, that one probably come out. My main man, Danny Eubanks, has a main track only entry in this race with Julio Hernandez aboard. Maxie's Money, 2-year-old filly by Maxfield, ran well in debut here at Delaware in a maiden 50. Just got beat a nose that day. Went off 7-1. Only a 30 buyer speed figure, so she'll need to step it up a little bit here in her second start. But Danny Eubanks, he's having a big year as a trainer. He's hitting at 29%. He's 3 for 7 up here at Delaware, hitting at 43%. Of course, his mom, Annette Eubanks, she was a great trainer, and she's still doing well, and she helps Danny out. And Danny's good to see Danny doing well as a trainer. So that filly could be a live player, especially if it comes off the turf. Maxie's Money.
Yeah, no, that's the Eubanks barn had a good season so far, and should be interesting to see how that develops. All right, fun race there, 4th race, maiden special weight, 5/8 of a mile for 2-year-old fillies. Stan, let's spin ahead to the 7th, which is as I mentioned earlier, short field. I think there's 5 of them, but it's a nice group of horses. It's 2 other than going 3/4 on the main track.
Yeah, 5-horse field. You have Sir Wellington in there, who's a Delaware Park lover. Sir Wellington's 3 for 10. He's 7 for 10 in the money. His last race was on a muddy track at Delaware, late July. That was a ratings optional claiming race. He was 4th that day. Pride's Prince was a sharp winner that day. The show horse came back to win. Was in a stake at Evangeline's with Hugh Robertson back in May. Didn't run very well. 0 for 5 this year and 0 for 7 last year. So this 8-year-old, he's a 7-time winner. He's made over $500,000. He has a lot of back class, but he's been on a little bit of a slump recently. He's 8 years old. You wonder how much gas is still left in the tank. Julio Hernandez rides for Mac Robertson. Mac having a solid meet. He's hitting at 20%. All of his horses are running well. So I'll be rooting on Sir Wellington. Looks like Trainawana Villa has a nice 3-year-old colt in there by Yapan Talmar, who has won 3 of 4 starts and had a nice allowance win at Monmouth last out. That was just back on August 7th after having a couple months off before that. So that colt sharp. Looks like he has some early speed. A lot of early speed. That race at Monmouth last time was pretty quick. They went 22, 44 and 1, and he was in front by a length, 56 and 3, 109 and 4. So Talmar has some serious speed. The Villa Barn hitting at 23% for the year. Carol Cedeno will ride. That horse got an 81 buyer speed figure last out. That's the highest last out buyer speed figure of the race. So he'll be one of the favorites. Now he's a colt taking on older. He's a 3-year-old taking on older horses. He beat older horses at Monmouth last out. This is a second level allowance condition, so a big step up. You got Sir Wellington. Flint Sights has a horse in there that's made over $250,000. Changed My World's made over $200,000. Rips made over 238,000. So and Talmar's only made 68,000. So he's the rookie, but he's an up and coming rookie who's pretty quick and can go a half mile 44 and change. So he'll have something to say about the early pace. We'll see how good he is against this group on Saturday.
Yeah, I like this horse in here. I think this is the one they're going to be chasing. I think too, it's worth noting he's 3 for 4 in his career. His only defeat came going 2 turns, going a mile 40 at Tampa. His 3 sprint races, he won them all. So that's where I'm going to land as a top choice here. I like Circle P a little bit here too for Flint Stites. The horse is going to be running later. Doesn't have that kind of early speed, but this was a pretty nice horse last winter. Winter 2025, won the Not for Love Stakes, ran some other really good races. Was off a long time. Was off from May 2025 to just this past July. Ran okay in the return, I thought. Sort of an even effort. Feel like this is a horse that could take a nice step forward, and if he does, he might be around here.
Yeah, the veteran trainer Flint Stites always deserves some respect. His barn's 21% recently from a small sample, second off this kind of layoff. He does have a nice resume, but that was a long layoff he came off of. He got beat 7 lengths up there at Prescal. So he'll need to step up and run a lot better second off the layoff on Saturday. Always good to see Flint Stites shipping down here from Penn National to run. He's won a lot of big races here at Delaware and in Maryland. And you have Mary Epler shipping up from Maryland with Change My World. That's a Maryland bred by World of Trouble. Mary Epler is part owner of this horse, and this horse is pretty consistent. He hasn't been off the board in several starts. He's a big time check getter. He's 1 for 8 this year, but he's 7 for 8 in the money. He's made over 71,000. Angel Cruz will ride. Cruz might just benefit from a ground-saving trip and just kind of hug the rail, sit on the rail, and hope for an opening to slip up the rail when they turn for home. Change My World. You have to admire his recent record, hitting the board in several starts. So that's a nice check getter Mary Epler has. It'd be good to see her shipping up here from Maryland. How's Mary doing down there? She's still winning a bunch of races?
Mary's spending most of her time in Florida these days, so we haven't seen a ton of her horses. We see a little bit, but it's not like it was a few years ago when she leading trainer one meet. She doesn't have that kind of volume anymore, but Mary, she does a good job. Her horses are always ready.
Yeah, she's been around for a long time and won a lot of big races. She's had a lot of nice horses. Of course, Paige McKinney was a rock star for several years. He's not still running, is he? He retired?
Oh, he's retired. Yeah,
he's retired. All right, but good. Yeah, good to see Mary still going. She used to gallop down the road for me when I was growing up at Sagamore Farm.
Wow. All right, that's the 7th. Nice group of horses here. That should be a fun race. And see how that all shakes out. You want to talk about the 8th too, if I recall. It's a maiden 12-5 going 5.5 on the main track.
Yeah, the get out race here. See if I can give somebody a couple of good horses for the late pick 5 anchors. Maiden 12-5. Greg Sacco has a horse in there dropping from a couple maiden special weights. Jamie Rodriguez has the call on that horse. That's a 3-year-old by McKenzie. He had some early speed on the dirt race here at Delaware, and then got tired, finished 4th. Didn't like the turf, lashed out. But that horse will be tough. Unbridled Justice dropping from maiden special weight to maiden 12-5. So that'll wake him up real quick, and you get Jamie Rodriguez to ride. Now Pecoraro has a horse in there that's getting weighed off with Radosevich aboard. 113 is the weight for Hugh Crocs, a 3-year-old by Cupid, who ran a decent second at Laurel in debut last February in a maiden 25. So that horse is live, and I like the fact that you're getting weight off with a bug rider that's winning races. Gina Perry has a horse in there, 3rd last time at Penn. Hawkesbury Hustler in a 3rd at Penn in a maiden 16, a race that came off the turf. She's 0 for 8 shipping up here, this Gina Perry barn. She's had 3 seconds and 2 2/3, but I don't know if I'll use that horse. The James Nicholson horse, shoe in, not in very good form. Stogie Joe did not run very well in a maiden special weight and debut, got beat 34 lengths. Katie Voss shipping up here with Farouk. This horse has been a check getter. He's 0 for 12, but he hits the board. He was third last time at Colonial, the beaten favorite down there at Colonial. He's dropping in class, so I'd like to see Farouk run well for Katie Voss. Then Catalano has a horse in there, ran fourth on the main track, 2 back in a maiden 25. But I think the first couple of the horses to beat, Unbridled Justice and Crocs here in race 8.
Yeah, I kind of agree with you. I think I like Unbridled Justice here on the drop out of special weight company. Lots of early speed. Farouk, the Katie Voss horse, is a half to Gallerio, who was a stakes winner. Also a half to Bella Bettina, who was stakes placed, but hadn't shown that kind of quality. I kind of feel like he may want to go farther, but Katie apparently thinks otherwise, and she knows a lot more than I do. So they're going to keep him going short, but he seems to generally not have that kind of speed. And the Catalano horses ran sort of evenly in only prior dirt try. So Unbridled Justice looks like the perhaps correct answer, or Crocs, the inside horses. You playing a pick 5 Saturday, Stan? Or are you gonna wait to see who's in and out?
Every day, I give out tickets every day. Normally for the early pick 5 and the late pick 5. We gave out a winning late pick 5 this past Saturday. 2 Saturdays ago when we had those carryovers, I gave out 2 winning pick 5. So I'll be giving them out, and I'll see how I feel to see if I play it or not. I didn't play my late pick 5 last Saturday that hit. So that's more money for the fans to split up when I don't jump in there and play it. But we'll see. I'll be giving them out. Hopefully, I'll give out some good pick 5s and maybe I'll play 1 or 2.
All right. Well, sounds good. 8 race cards Saturday, couple of pick 5s, racing Thursday, Friday, Saturday this week and next week.
I believe still Thursday, Friday, Saturday for next week. I believe.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. Well, sounds good. Stan Salter, thanks so much for joining me. Good luck this weekend, and look forward to seeing you at the races soon.
All right. Thanks, Frank. Have a great week. Thank you.
You too.
Thanks to Stan Salter, thanks to Megan Halter, and most of all, thanks to you for watching, listening, and we hope liking and subscribing to Midlantic Racing Today. Midlantic Racing Today is powered by the Racing Biz, the racingbiz.com, presented by our friends at Delaware Park Racetrack and Casino. My name is Frank Vespi. Thanks so much for joining us here on Midlantic Racing Today. Catch up with the archives on the racingbiz.com. And we'll see you next time on Midlantic Racing Today.